Dr. Damien Orji was a man of great stature, a beacon of hope in the bustling city of Lagos. His hospital, Hopeful Heart Hospital, stood as a fortress of healing where thousands sought medical care. He was revered, his name whispered in admiration across the city. To the world, he was a savior. To the elite, he was a miracle worker. But behind the sterilized walls of his grand institution, a horrifying secret festered, one that thrived in the shadows of desperation and greed. For years, patients entered his hospital, and while most left with their health restored, some were never seen again. Their families were given convincing reasons: complications, sudden cardiac arrest, unforeseen infections. Yet, the reality was far more sinister. Dr. Orji ran one of the most sophisticated organ trafficking networks in the country. His victims were carefully chosen: the poor, the homeless, the forgotten, those with no families to question their disappearance. Sometimes, even the wealthy who needed urgent surgery found themselves in this trap, waking up to missing kidneys or a liver reduced to half. His hospital was the perfect cover, with state-of-the-art facilities and a team of doctors either complicit or too fearful to oppose him. He orchestrated an underground trade worth millions. But Dr. Orji did not work alone. His operations were backed by some of the most influential men in the country: business moguls, high-ranking officials, and powerful politicians. These figures ensured his protection, covering up his crimes and silencing any investigation. He supplied organs not only to wealthy clients in need of transplants, but also to ritualists who paid exorbitant amounts for body parts used in dark ceremonies. To the public, he was a generous philanthropist. He frequently organized free medical outreach programs, especially in the impoverished communities. It was during these events that his team executed their most heinous crimes. Under the guise of free checkups and treatments, unsuspecting patients were drugged, abducted, and transported to hidden surgical rooms where their organs were harvested. No one questioned his methods because his explanations were always backed by fabricated medical reports and overwhelming influence. Doctors and nurses at Hopeful Heart Hospital were the highest paid in the country. Even the least workers in the hospital were paid very well. Many young professionals were desperate to work there, unaware of the evil behind the walls. Upon employment, every worker was made to swear an oath of secrecy. Once you were in, there was no getting out. Those who tried to leave or speak up were either silenced or disappeared without a trace. Some doctors lived in fear, trapped by their knowledge. Others embraced the horror, thriving off the riches and luxury their silence brought. Nkem's journey into the dark underbelly of the Hopeful Heart Hospital was personal. Her younger brother, Chuka, had been admitted there for a respiratory condition. From the moment he was checked in, visitation was heavily restricted. The hospital claimed it was due to infection control protocols, but Nkem felt something was wrong. Chuka wasn't getting better. He was often disoriented, pale, and unable to speak clearly. One night, he tried to whisper something to her. "Take me away from here," but his voice was barely audible. It was as if the injections he was given were paralyzing his ability to communicate. Nkem pleaded with her parents to transfer him to another hospital, but they dismissed her concerns. To them, Hopeful Heart was the best of the best. Days later, Chuka died. The hospital cited cardiac arrest, but the explanation didn't sit right with Nkem. She had felt it in her spirit. Something evil was happening. Failed by her grief and suspicion, she launched a secret investigation. But how could she get close enough to expose the truth? That's when she had an idea. She would become part of the system. Nkem falsified credentials and posed as a graduate nurse seeking internship. Through a connection from a friend who knew a senior staff member, she submitted her application. Her records, though forged, were flawless. Within 2 weeks, she was called for screening. Because of the hospital's high demand for staff during their annual outreach programs, her application was fast-tracked. She was accepted. During her first week, she was assigned to the general ward. Her tasks were basic: checking vitals, assisting in administrating medications, and transporting patients. But Nkem wasn't there for routine work. She kept her eyes open, listening more than she spoke. Slowly, she started noticing patterns. Certain patterns, mostly poor or without next of kin, were transferred late at night and never returned. One night, pretending to retrieve supplies, she stumbled upon a restricted wing. She noticed that some staff had digital keycards that granted them access to the floors marked quarantine. She knew something was off. By her second week, she had gained enough trust from a fellow nurse who, though fearful, hinted at things better left unknown. That was all the confirmation she needed. She began recording everything: strange conversations, foul inconsistencies, and patient movement logs. She worked closely with a journalist friend who gave her a special device, one that not only recorded but transmitted files instantly to a secured cloud. Her big break came when she secretly followed the janitor into a service elevator using a stolen keycard. The elevator led her to an underground level, not listed on any official blueprint. It was there she discovered the horror. Rows of patients, sedated and cooked to a machine, guarded by armed men in scrubs. Some were missing organs, others were barely alive. She documented it all with her hidden device, but what she did not know was that Dr. Orji had been watching her all along. A security camera had been programmed to detect unusual staff movements, and Nkem triggered an alert unknowingly to her. Dr. Orji knew she was a spy. He had seen the recordings she took, but he allowed her to think she was being smart, waiting for the right time to trap her. That very day, he asked the security guards to seize her. The mistake he made was underestimating her. Before security grabbed her, she had already sent the most damaging evidence to her journalist friend. When security caught her, they dragged her to Dr. Orji's office. He smiled calmly as she entered, his fingers tapping against the mahogany decks. "You almost impressed me," he said, "but you were predictable." "Did you think I wasn't going to notice?" he added with a grim smile. "I am no fool, my dear. I noticed you right from the first time you started making your move." He laughed loudly. "It's over," he said, signaling the guards to take her away. "I will not give you an easy death. No, that's so easy. You will witness me skin you alive." Nkem cried and pleaded, but Dr. Orji only smirked. "You want to destroy everything I've built. Now you will witness my wrath. You should have just let things slide. But no, you decided to be a hero, right? Foolish girl." He seized the recorded device from her and smashed it. She was thrown into a cold, dark room with steel walls and no windows. She knew what was coming. Her organs would be harvested and her body dumped. Terrified, she cried and whispered prayers, calling out to her brother's spirit to protect her. Her heart raced with fear, but she held on to a single hope: that her friend had received the files, and no matter what happened to her, justice would take its place. And indeed, her friend released the evidence on all social media platforms. In a matter of seconds, the news exploded. It was on every news station, every social media platform. It became a nationwide scandal. Outrage erupted across the country. Protests filled the streets. Families of the victims demanded justice. Some sued the hospital. The entire nation was in an uproar. The government could no longer turn a blind eye. They were forced to intervene. Hopeful Heart Hospital was shut down. Dr. Orji and many of his staffs were arrested. Some, however, managed to escape. Dr. Orji was reportedly sentenced to life imprisonment. Cameras captured every moment. The courtroom was packed. Journalists, citizens, even international press. It was broadcasted live on all major networks in the country. The world watched justice unfold. Nkem and others who were held hostage were rescued. The bodies of the dead were released to their grieving families. For a moment, the nation sighed in relief. Justice had finally taken its place. Or so they thought. Dr. Orji was not taken to prison. Soon after, he was reported dead. Behind the scenes, Dr. Orji was quietly whisked away under the protection of his high-ranking allies. He was flown out of the country, underwent facial reconstruction surgery, and assumed a new identity. The organ trade was too profitable to dismantle. Too many powerful people were involved. To the world, Dr. Orji is a dead man. In reality, he walks freely amongst us, even till date. So when you walk into a hospital room and a stranger in white stares just a second too long, pray it's not him, because monsters don't always hide under your bed. Sometimes they wear stethoscopes. Be careful who you trust with your life, because the next time you walk into a hospital, you might never walk out.